Hello students, good morning. I hope that you all are good and doing your studies also. So students, today we are going to start a new chapter of science, that is chapter number 16. Now the name of that chapter is light. So in this chapter, first of all, we know that what is light. Then after we are going to study that what are luminous and what are non-luminous object, and about the reflection of light. So these things that we are going to discuss in this chapter one by one. So let's start with the first topic of this chapter, which is light. So let's know about it. Light. Everyone knows that light is needed to see the thing around us. We are able to see the different things around us with the help of light. We are able to see the beautiful world around because of light. We can read a book, we can see the pictures in a magazine, watch television. So everything that we can do with the help of light. So we can say that light which makes us see our image in a looking mirror. We detect the light with our eyes. So there is one question that arises in your mind, that what makes the things visible? We can see various things or objects around us with our eyes, but the eyes alone cannot see any object. For example, we cannot see the objects in dark room or in darkness of night, even when our eyes are wide open. We need a source of light to make the object or the things visible. So, as soon as a light from a torch or an electric bulb or a tube light falls on the object, we are able to see it clearly in a dark room or in the darkness of night. So it is only when the light is coming from the object enters our eyes that we see that object. So we can say that it is a light that makes the things visible to us. Light enables us to see the things from which it comes or from which it is reflected. So there are two types of objects. The two types of objects are, in which the first one is luminous object and the second one is non-luminous object. So we are going to know that what is the difference between luminous object and non-luminous object. So let's start with the luminous object. So firstly we'll know that what is luminous object. The object which emit their own light are commonly known as luminous object. So the luminous object, in fact the sources of light. Luminous objects produce their own light. They emit this light. For example, sun, other stars, lighted electric bulb, glowing tube light, torch, fire, flame of a burning candle. All things are luminous object. So these all are the examples of the luminous object. For example, I am going to give you one example. For example, we can see the sun because the light that is given out by the sun or the light that is emitted by the sun enters our eyes. So the luminous objects are very small in number. Their number is very small. Second one is non-luminous object. All the objects that cannot give their own light, or we can say that the objects that do not emit their own light are commonly known as non-luminous object. For example, moon, earth, other planets, table, chair, book, trees, plants, flowers, human beings. So all these things are the examples of the non-luminous object. So the most of the objects around us are non-luminous, which do not have their own light. The non-luminous objects can be seen only when the light that is coming from the luminous object falls on them. And this light is reflected by the non-luminous object in all the direction, and when this reflected light enters our eyes, we can see the non-luminous object. So we can see the non-luminous object by this way. We can see the non-luminous objects because they reflect the light that is received from the luminous object into our eyes. So this is about the non-luminous object. So next is about the reflection of light. Now we are going to know that what is reflection of light. So when the light falls on the surface of an object, the object sends this light back. And this process of sending the light rays which falls on the surface of an object is commonly known as reflection of light. So the reflection of light is studied by using a plane mirror. a plane mirror reflects almost all the light which falls on it, and this means that a plane mirror changes the direction of the light which falls on it. So this is about the reflection of light. Now we are going to know about that what is incident ray, what is point of incidence, what is reflected ray, what is normal, what is angle of incidence, and what is angle of reflection. So one by one we are going to know about all these things. So we can define the reflection like this, reflection of light like this. When the light falls on a polished or a shiny surface, it changes its direction, and this is called the reflection of light. So we are going to know about that what is incident ray, what is reflected ray, and what is normal, and what is angle of incidence, and what is angle of reflection, and what is point of incidence. So here the terms incident ray, point of incidence, reflected ray, normal, angle of incidence, and angle of reflection, we are going to discuss about all these things one by one. So first is the incident ray. So the ray of light that falls on the surface of mirror, just look at the diagram here given to you. The ray of the light that falls on the surface of the mirror, that ray of light is known as incident ray. Now reflected ray. Now the second is point of incidence. The point of incidence means the point at which the incident ray strikes the mirror. There is one point at which this incident ray strikes at the mirror, and that point is commonly known as point of incidence. Now the next is reflected ray. The ray of light that sent back by the mirror. Look at the diagram carefully. There is a ray of the light that sent back by the mirror, and this is commonly known as reflected ray. Then after normal is a line that is drawn at the right angles to the mirror surface at the point, means the line that we drawn from the point of incidence, and that is perpendicular to the plane mirror, and that makes the right angles to the plane mirror is commonly known as normal line. So normal is a line that is perpendicular to the mirror surface at the point of incidence. So we can define it like this. Normal is a line which is perpendicular to the mirror surface at the point of incidence. Now here look at the diagram carefully. We are going to know about that what is angle of incidence and what is angle of reflection. So here just look at the diagram given to you in which angle of incidence is there and angle of reflection is there. So how you can define it? Angle between the incident ray. Just look at the diagram. There is an angle between the incident ray and the normal, and this angle is commonly known as angle of incidence. Second one is the angle between the reflected ray and the normal, and this angle is commonly known as angle of reflection. So angle of incidence is denoted by small I, and the angle of reflection is denoted by small r. So we can show it by writing it like this way: angle I and angle r. Angle small I, the incidence is denoted by small I, and the reflection is denoted by small r. So this is about the reflection of light. As I have already told you about the incident ray, about the reflected ray, about the normal, about the angle of incidence, and about the angle of incidence, and how we can denote it, how we can denote the angle of incidence, and how we can denote the angle of reflection. And just want to be noted that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. So this angle of incidence that is formed between the normal and the incident ray is always equal to the angle that is formed between the reflected ray and the normal. So next is about the laws of reflection. Now we are going to know about that what are the laws of reflection. So the laws of reflection, before that we just know that when the ray of light that falls on a plane mirror gets reflected, and the reflection of the light from the plane mirror takes place according to the two laws, and that two laws are known as laws of reflection. So we can study the reflection of the light from the plane mirror according to the two laws, and that two laws are commonly known as laws of reflection. And the laws of reflection are as follows. First law, there are two laws, first law and second law. So we are going to know about that, what is the first law of reflection and what is the second law of reflection. So let's start with the first law. So according to the first law, the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal, just look at the diagram here that is given to you. So here the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal, that all lie in the same plane, and this is the first law of the reflection of light. Second law, according to the second law, the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. So angle, we can write it like this, angle I is always equal to angle R. So this is the second law of the reflection of light. So this is about the laws of reflection. So there are two laws of reflection, first law and the second law. First law, according to the first law, the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal all lie in the same plane at the point of incidence. And according to the second law, the angle of reflection is always equal to the angle of incidence, or we can say the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Now the image formed by the plane mirror. As we have studied the reflection of the light from the plane mirror, now we are going to know about that what are the characteristics of the image that is formed by the plane mirror. So let's know about it one by one. The image that is formed by the plane mirror is erect. It is always erect image. Second point is that the image is same size as the object. The image is always as the same size as the object. And the image that is formed in a plane mirror is laterally inverted image. For example, if suppose that there is a mirror in front of you and you are raising your right hand in the front of a plane mirror, then you will observe that in the mirror you are raising your left hand. So this side inversion is known as lateral inversion. So the image that is formed in a plane mirror is laterally inverted image. Next is the image is at the same distance from the mirror as the object in the front of it, and the image is always virtual image. It means that the virtual image means that image that cannot be obtained on a screen. There are two types of image also, real image or virtual image. Real image is that image that we can obtain on a screen, and the image that we are not able to obtain on a screen is commonly known as virtual image. And the image that is formed by the plane mirror is behind the mirror, and the image that is formed by the plane mirror is always formed behind the mirror. So these are the characteristics of the image that is formed by the plane mirror. Now we are going to know about regular reflection, or we can say diffused or irregular reflection. Now we are going to know that what is the difference between regular reflection or irregular or diffuse reflection. So here, in case of regular reflection, the regular reflection of light takes place from the smooth surface, and this can be explained to you like this. All the particles of a smooth surface, we can take the example of plane mirror. So here we can say that all the particles of the smooth surface like a plane mirror are facing in one direction. They are facing in one direction, and due to this the angle of incidence of all the parallel rays of light that is falling on a smooth surface is same, and hence the angle of reflection for all the rays of light is also same. Since the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are same, or we can say equal, a beam of parallel rays of light falling on a smooth surface is reflected as a beam of parallel ray of light in one direction only. So here there is one diagram that shows the regular reflection to you. Here all the parallel rays of light that is falling on this smooth surface, after the reflection they gets reflected and goes in the same direction, and all the light rays are parallel to each other. So this is mainly due to this that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. This is because that all the particles of smooth surface are facing in one direction, and due to this the angle of incidence for all the parallel rays of light falling on a smooth surface is same. Hence the angle of reflection for all the rays of light is also the same. Next is about the diffuse reflection. So in case of diffuse reflection, a parallel beam of light incidence is reflected in different direction. Just look at the diagram here. The parallel beam of light that incidence on this rough surface, after the reflection they just goes in different direction, or we can say scattered in different direction. So the diffuse reflection is also known as irregular reflection. And the diffuse reflection of light takes place from a rough surface like that of paper, cardboard, chalk, table, chair, walls, or unpolished metal surface. For example, when a parallel beam of light falls on a rough surface of a sheet of paper, the light is scattered by making the reflected rays in different direction. So the sheet of paper produces the diffuse reflection of light, and no image is formed in diffuse reflection of light. For example, a rough surface like that of paper does not produce an image of the object due to the diffuse reflection of light. So actually the light rays that is falling on the rough surface of a paper are scattered in all the direction, and hence no image is formed. So in case of diffuse reflection, there is no any formation of image, not any kind of image is formed. So this is about the diffuse reflection that I have told you. I have told you that what is the difference between regular reflection and the diffuse reflection. So the next topic is about the multiple images. Now we are going to know about that what is multiple images. So here we are going to know that what are multiple images. When two mirrors are kept at inclined at an angle, then they can together form the multiple images. When they are inclined at an angle, they form the multiple images. This is because the image that is formed by one mirror forms the object for the other mirror, that acts like the object for the other mirror, and due to this the multiple images are formed. Here there is one table that is given to you, in which the first column shows the angle between the mirrors and the second column shows you the number of the images formed. So the angle between the mirror is 45 degree, then the number of images is 7. If the angle between the mirror is 60 degree, then the number of images is 5. If the angle between the mirror is 90 degree, then the number of images is 3. And if 120 degree, then the number of images is 2. And if it is 180 degree, then the number of images is 1. And if 0 means parallel to each other, if both the mirror are parallel to each other, then infinite number of images are formed. Sometimes the question may be asked when the infinite number of images are formed. So your answer is when both the mirrors are at 0 degree or parallel to each other. In that case, infinite number of images are formed. So this is about the multiple images. Next is we are going to know about kaleidoscope. So we are going to know that what is kaleidoscope, and about its structure also we are going to know it. So firstly we will know that what is kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is an instrument, or we can say toy, containing inclined plane mirror which produce the multiple reflection of colored glass pieces or the colored plastic pieces and create the beautiful pattern. So we can define it simply like this. This is the type of instrument and that create the beautiful pattern, and this is due to the multiple reflection of the colored glass pieces or the colored plastic pieces. So the kaleidoscope is consist of, here there is one diagram that is given to you. This is the diagram of the kaleidoscope. This kaleidoscope is consist of 3 long narrow strips of plane mirror that is inclined at 60 degree to one another and forming a hollow prism and fitted to a cardboard tube. Look at the diagram. One end of the cardboard tube is closed by the opaque disc or cardboard disc having a small hole at its center, and the other end of the cardboard tube is closed with 2 circular discs of glasses, the inner disc being transparent glass or the clear glass and the outer disc of the ground glass or the translucent glass. So the number of small pieces of different colored glass or the plastic having the different shapes are kept between the two glass discs, which can move around freely in space between the two glass discs. The colored glass pieces act as an object, and the inclined plane mirrors form the multiple images of these glass pieces by repeated reflection, which look like a beautiful pattern or design. If we turn that kaleidoscope tube slightly, the glass pieces will rearrange and produce a new pattern. So the interesting feature of this kaleidoscope is that we can never see the same pattern again. Every time a new pattern is obtained, new pattern is formed, and kaleidoscope that is mainly used by the designers of the wall, papers and fabrics, as well as by the artists to get the ideas for the new pattern. So this is about the kaleidoscope. I have told you that how it works and about its structure. Now students, these are the some topics that I have covered today. Still there are some topics that are left in this chapter. Very soon we are going to come with the other topics also. So whatever the things that I have told you today, you must revise it and try to solve the questions related to the topics. So students, do your work properly and do your studies. Thank you.